Hello and welcome to this week's episode of So Fired. I'm Chelsea Toronto.
And I'm Dr. Lindsay Regier.
And welcome. Each week on So Fired, we take life's shitty things and turn them into pretty things.
And we gripe about all of our grievances. And on this week's episode, we have a very special guest. We have Shannon McNamara, host of the FluentlyForward podcast. And we are going to talk about my favorite topic of all time, which is all things pop culture. So welcome, Shannon.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to, it's also my favorite topic, so I'm excited to get into it with you guys.
Yay.
Shannon, so each week we start off with a So Fired moment. So, just taking something that could off the bat be perceived as something negative, but then we package it up so it's a little prettier.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, my So Fired moment of this week. Last week I got have you guys heard of people getting their colors done? You know, like, are you a summer or an autumn or a spring?
Oh, yeah.
So I got that done with my mom down in Florida and I was so excited for it, but it was just like not good. Like none of the colors were working for me. And the color that she said I was an autumn, which like my mom also got, and there's no way we're the same palette. So it was definitely disappointing at first, but then I thought the positive is, like, I already know my colors and they're all like pale pastels. So I didn't really need to do this. It just kind of validated my thought that like I already know what I look good in. But it was a fun experience. And for anyone who's like considering getting it done, I think you can do it at home yourself for like for a little bit cheaper. Yeah.
Sounds like it. Yeah, you know your colors.
Yeah, I think so. Have you guys ever gotten that done? Do you know what season you are?
No, but I would say I'm an autumn.
Yeah.
What are my choices?
Because spring, summer, fall, winter.
Winter. Like Anne Hathaway is like a winter. That's usually like, you know, some sort of like clear, bright skin, like dark features. And then I think they say more of like the olive tone is going to be the autumn. And then you have like Amanda Seyfried as like a spring. And I think a summer is like kind of a blanket category.
Yeah. I feel like a summer would be like Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, I could see her as a summer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what am I?
You're probably an autumn.
Really?
Yeah, autumns look good in like an olive green, a nice warm brown. No, shaking your head no.
Oh, no,
yeah, I feel like
that's me.
You can do it backwards too, right? And you can just be like, okay, what colors do I look best in? And then determine your season. That's how I like to do it.
I think I'm an Anne Hathaway. Yeah.
Yeah, winter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have a winter soul.
Awesome. Okay, Lindsay, what's your So Fired of the week?
So my So Fired of the week is that sometimes, you know, when you're podcasting, you don't know if it's getting out into the world. You don't know if it's making an impact on anyone. Kind of feels like you're shouting out into the void every once in a while. And then you post clips on Instagram or TikTok and YouTube, and it's like, is anyone watching? And you kind of like start to doubt yourself. So it's kind of like feeling like that. So I went back to look at some comments that we just posted about our issue with men not wearing shirts. And let me tell you, people care. Like they have so many opinions. And I was like, oh my God, we're really getting under people's skin. This is amazing.
Fantastic.
I love it. And like this one person is like, oh, I love when people ask a question pretending they've been at 40 years without having the slightest clue as to why a man would take his shirt off. And it's different than a woman. Like get your big girl pants on. And like,
wait, what?
Yeah. There's like, it's a lot of trolling comments, which I find hysterical. So It was really a great moment. I was like, wow, we're really getting under people's skin and making an impact in this world.
Yeah, you never know what the internet's going to do. My favorite is when you post a podcast clip and you guys probably I'll get tons of comments of people, especially if it's about celebrities being like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares about this? And I'm like, when I find stuff I don't care about, I just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird to comment, like, why do you care about this? Like, get into somebody's soul. But you know what? Shout out to them because, you know, it all helps engagement. So
it does.
We appreciate
Jokes
it.
on them.
Yeah.
What's your So Fired?
Let's see. Monday night, I had plans to do open mic and didn't. I was tired, I'm going to be honest. And I felt really guilty about it. I thought this is not going to move my needle forward if I don't participate. And so I was kind of kicking myself Tuesday morning. And because I work in the hospitality industry, so I'm up late nights. So to continue, if you sit down, you're toast. Like you can't sit down, and like open mic doesn't start until like 11. So I was like, oh, anyway. So Tuesday morning rolls around, and on Instagram and I get a DM from a very successful TikToker, shout out to Tyler Bender, and said, "Hey, are you able to collab today?" And had I not slept in a little bit and then started, oh no, had I like been up, let me try this again. Had I performed the night before, I would have still been sleeping. I wasn't sleeping because I did get a good night's sleep, in which case I was able to collab with someone who's a little further along in the industry or somebody that I look up to and hope to emulate. And so that was definitely a So Fired.
Definitely.
Once you can get that cohesively out.
Yeah. Love when that stuff happens. And Tyler's so sweet too. Her sketches, which would be both a skit and a sketch, because I guess I don't really know the difference. But oh my God, they always send me. They're so funny.
And the way she performs, she can do it in one take. That's it. Let's go. Yeah. And she like turns on like a true professional. So it was really fun to watch. And then she gave me some pro tips and that was great. And then she did an audit of my thing. So it was invaluable. I really appreciate it. And I think we'll continue to work together more often. So
yay to going to bed early.
Score. Yeah, no, I'll be going to bed early for a while. Well said. Okay, one more question we ask each week is, Shannon, do you have any issues? Like or one or any?
Got a ton of issues. Okay, my issue, and this is a gripe that I have, and I feel like it's on behalf of women everywhere. My issue is when you get a UTI, urinary tract infection, and you take antibiotics for it, and then the antibiotics give you a yeast infection, which then means that you're down for the count for like another 5 days after. I just don't know why modern medicine hasn't come up with a way to give you antibiotics that aren't then going to give you a yeast infection. I just feel like every woman has gone through this and like nobody is listening to us and caring that like we're itchy and having to pee. And to me, I'm just like, it should be fixed by now. I don't know why it isn't. We're half the population.
I know. They need to do like a 1-2 punch with that antibiotic. Like we're going to give you 2 things actually, because we're going to stop the yeast infection and its tracks.
Yeah. I just
think,
no,
I don't know.
Intended. Yeah, just stop it right in its urinary tract.
To avoid that, this is what I do. I get the cranberry juice at the store that has no sugar in it, like the big gallon, and I will just like slam cranberry juice as much as I possibly can.
Have you guys heard of D-mannose pills? It's like this powder. You can take it with cranberry, but this is like kind of gross, but it leaches E. coli from your like body basically. Because I think a lot of people get UTIs from like, I don't know, a thong or something. Right. And when you take that, you like really don't get UTIs anymore. So anyway, that helps. But once you have one, then you're screwed. So
for sure.
For sure. God, never ending cycle.
Lindsay, what's your issue?
My issue is that, okay, Snail Girl season. Yeah. is Gen Z claims to come up with all of these new terms, but it's essentially you're not in hustle mode, you're not in girl boss mode, you're just in chill mode and just getting through life, doing the bare minimum, which they have now tagged as snail mode. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but like just call it like panda mode or something, or like something like cuter. I'm like, I don't want to be a snail and like slugging along in life and leaving a slimy trail behind me. Like, I want to be lazy too, but I want a cuter name. I want to be a panda girl.
Yeah. Snails are not. Have you guys seen like there's this sort of like snail serum that everybody's talking about on TikTok? And I'm sure it does like wonderful hydrating things for your skin, but I cannot get behind.
Shannon, I just said my issue is I hate changing over seasonal wardrobe. You go from fall to winter. Or actually, let me rephrase that. I'm going from summer into now late fall. So I kind of leapfrog fall, and winter is inevitably like 2 weeks away. So I hate it. And then when you do the edit and you're like, I have nothing. How am I have such a deficit of sweaters? I'm ill prepared.
And it's so true that we skip fall. You know how like when you're holiday shopping, it will literally be before Halloween and they're already doing Christmas stuff and you're like, what's going on? I feel like climate change has like caught up to the like, you know, the different stores and businesses, because now we really don't have a fall. You go from like blistering heat to 2 weeks of fall, you get your pumpkin, and then immediately it's cold for the next 6 months. And you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is our new season.
Right.
Yeah.
And in order for me to stomach the fact that it's like a 6-month season, I would like to have a wardrobe that I'm really in love with, because that will make it easier instead of like suffering through my like lack of sweater game. It's the little things. That's how I kind of carrot myself into feeling like it's not that bad. I have really cute boots.
It's also like the fall sweaters. It's hard to find a nice fall sweater that's not like a chunky winter sweater or a light summer sweater.
Yes.
Like there's such a gap in the market for fall sweaters.
Or just like good basic clothing. I went shopping with my mom after we got our colors done. We were like, let's go to the mall and like buy stuff in our
It's a
palette.
perfect day, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, it should have been, but like, first of
Oh.
all, malls are kind of depressing nowadays
Yeah,
because
they
like
are.
everyone's buying everything online. And also there's so many items. This is why I mostly thrift, because like I'll go into a store, it'll look great, and then I pull it out and it's cropped, or like the sleeves are like big and balloony, or it actually has corset lacing, or the back is like totally open. And I'm like, I just want like one nice classic sweater from like the 90s, from like when Harry Met Sally type of vibe.
You got to
And
go
I
to
feel like
Talbot's.
I
Trust
should check
me.
them out.
My
Yeah.
mom was like a personal shopper for Talbot's for 10 years, and I used to wear it in high school. And that's where you want to go for your very classic, solid, like basics. Trust me, I know it seems old lady-ish, but the cuts are beautiful. They're very tailored for women specifically. And it's like the last remaining department stores, if you will, that just know they hit it down the fairway. Slacks. Just a basic like crew neck shirt that you will wear under sweaters with a higher quality thread count of cotton. I know it's not great, but like if you needed a suit or something very like a pencil skirt and something that, you know, you in the old days used to get a department store like Macy's or Lord & Taylor's, a full, whatever your thing was before Nordstrom, because I don't know, check them out. If you have an actual store, I would, because it's better than the online or like their catalog. Yeah, they have a catalog.
Yeah.
It's
Like a
worth it
paper
though.
catalog?
Trust me. And call me back or like zoom me back when you're like, yeah, there are things there you might use.
Nice.
Okay. Anyway, let's
Anyways,
talk about what's
let's
most
talk
important.
about-
Pop culture.
Yes. Shannon, first of all, how did you get so into pop culture?
Yeah, you know what? I wonder the same question. So does my mom, because we definitely grew up in like a no TV household. So my first introduction to pop culture was like grocery shopping with my dad and looking at the tabloid covers and the checkout. I was like, oh, Jennifer Aniston, I don't know who she is, but she seems to be so sad. And like all of these women are having pregnancy scares. Like what's going on? I mean, this was the early 2000s pop culture, which then led to like Perez Hilton. And I think I kind of got into it when it was the Disney crew of like Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, Taylor Swift getting big, Justin Bieber. And I was always into pop culture, but I've also kind of been a little bit like conspiracy minded, or I love a good rumor. When I discovered blind items, the majority of them are on crazydaysandnights.net. These kind of hidden pieces of gossip about celebrities that you can guess on and speculate on, and about half of them end up coming true. I was really drawn to the world of blind items because it was like, yeah, you know, you think these celebrities are dating, but maybe it's fake just to promote the movie. Or this celebrity said that they're canceling their tour because they're, you know, they have anxiety, but really they're in rehab. So it just kind of leads you down this kind of investigative lens of like, what's true, what's PR, what's fake, what's real. And it kind of adds a little bit of a fun element. And to me, it makes celebrities more relatable because I love a messy, nuanced, very human type of celebrity. I don't like someone who has it all together.
Right. Oh, that's fascinating.
So fascinating. I've only heard about blind items since Dumas came out.
Yeah, she really, I mean, I think she introduced them to a whole new world, or I guess a new generation of people. And then when I started talking about them on TikTok, there was an even younger generation that was like, what is a blind item? So, I mean, they've been around since back in the days when rumors were spread during newspapers in the printing era. So you would have blind items published. Even my college that I went to would publish blind items in their newspaper.
Can you describe a blind item for our listeners who don't know?
Yeah. So like, let's say maybe I wanted to say that Justin Bieber was caught smoking crack on a sidewalk, but I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to get sued, or it was just a rumor. I would say this A+ list male pop star who's foreign born was caught smoking crack on a sidewalk. And then people would put together the clues and be like, okay, he's Canadian. There's not that many male pop stars. Like, I think it's Justin Bieber.
Oh.
It's kind of like a game of Jeopardy. You're given a little clue.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out the person.
Very salacious. Yeah, like crossword puzzle or something.
That's fantastic.
I'm obsessed. Okay, so there's like a few things that we definitely need to talk about. Let's start with Britney Spears and her memoir
Just get
coming
to it.
out. Oh my gosh. Okay, so things keep on getting leaked. And the newest thing that came out today, this isn't the most salacious thing, but she admitted that she did cheat on Justin Timberlake. He cheated on her. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, he cheated on her. Not surprised. But then I think this is the most crazy thing is that she said that she had an abortion and he kind of like made her do it, is what it sounded like. And he wasn't ready to be a dad at 19. And I can't believe that she admitted that, like in a book. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, that is the type. I will say, like, kudos to the celebrities who put it all out in their memoirs. Because I feel like we've seen some celebrities who do memoirs and it's basically like a magazine, or celebrities who do documentaries and like they're the only person being interviewed in their own documentary. And I'm just like, if you're going to take it there with a memoir or a documentary, you got to go all the way. So I really like Demi Lovato, like really exposed stuff about herself. Selena Gomez, not so much. So you really get to see which celebrities are putting it out there. And it's going to be, I'm curious how much of this memoir is going to be ghostwritten, you know, and how much is really going to go into it. But I mean, that was a huge bombshell. And I think a lot of people are saying this makes everything that Justin Timberlake did afterwards. You know, he would kind of ridicule Britney, slut shame her, make very, very obscene jokes about her, like joke about taking her virginity, all of this stuff. Now, with the history and the knowledge that we have of knowing that they both got an abortion together and had to go through that, now everything he did to her post breakup is like 10 times worse, because how do you do that to someone that like you went through this traumatic event, you know, with basically?
Do you struggle with bloating, anxiety, constipation, fatigue, skin issues, or other nagging symptoms but don't know where to start or what to take to truly fix it? If this sounds like you, we have the perfect company that you need to meet. Gut Personal is a personalized functional medicine supplement and coaching company that gets to the root of your gut issues. Unlike generic supplements, Gut Personal developed a quick 2-minute quiz. You know we love a quiz, where you'll receive personalized supplement recommendations from expert functional medicine dietitians. This way, you know exactly what supplements your body needs to get relief. I personally use the booster and the prebiotic for better digestion, and I know when I take it consistently, even my skin looks a lot better. So if you're tired with dealing with painful digestive issues or mood swings, PMS, go over to gutpersonal.com, take their quiz, and then you can get your custom supplement regimen today. So visit gutpersonal.com and use code SOFIRED10 to get a 10% discount on your first order. I know. And I'm such a Justin Timberlake diehard fan. And I'm like,
But what about his camp? Like, he had PR people, he had advisors. He wasn't just operating solo. So the fact that like his team gave him the green light and said, yeah, no, this is a good idea. Like, yeah, no, this is, and that it was a time in which you could do that and still come out on top. Right?
The early 2000s were like so, like, I don't think there's anyone who would want to go back in time and be famous then. We were just so cruel to celebrity. I mean, we still are, right? But it was a lot worse back then. And speaking of his camp, I don't know if you've seen, but what happens now when celebrities get into really deep water is that they have bot teams. And we saw this during, you know, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation. We see this a lot of times now. People just have bots fight on their behalf. And a lot of people have noticed it seems like Justin Timberlake is having bots fight for him. There's this one phrase that somebody exposed on Twitter where I think the exact word for word phrase is, I don't see what the big deal is here. They were two consulting adults who made a decision about what to do, in reference to their abortion. And if you put that phrase into Twitter, you'll see tens of hundreds of accounts who have made that same comment on any tweet that somebody posts about the news of Britney Spears' abortion. So you can tell that Justin Timberlake and his team paid off some bot farm to, you know, put all of these responses out to try and minimize what's happening, when really most people, you know, have a human reaction, which is not, what's a big deal, blah, blah, blah. It is a big deal, especially for pop culture fans. It's a huge deal.
Wow. I didn't even know that was a strategy, really. I thought that his strategy right now is to just stay silent and let her say her thing, because I think if he comes out and says something like, well, we were young and we didn't know, he's minimizing it himself. So now the bots are, I guess, are doing it for him. But I think he also knew that it was going to not end up well for him, because this whole NSYNC reunion trolls kind of comeback thing, people are getting really nostalgic for NSYNC. So I feel like he's already like preempting the good PR for himself when he knew this was going to come out.
Yeah, it's interesting that they had so long to do a reunion, and it's interesting the timing that they chose. But I also feel so bad for the other guys in the group, because you have to think they're like, okay, finally we're doing our reunion. And are you kidding me, Justin? Everybody's going to hate us now because of what you did to Britney that's coming out. So he really just shot all 4 of them in the foot.
Why do you think he hasn't taken the opportunity to acknowledge and maybe make amends?
I think he
doesn't necessarily, sorry to interrupt, but he doesn't necessarily have to address abortion exactly, but it would be an opportunity to be like, I certainly acted in a way in which I wouldn't act now, or something, right? Where he expresses some type of remorse.
He did a little bit of that last year. I think it might have been an Instagram apology. I forget what platform it was, but old interview clips were coming up, him with Janet Jackson, him with Britney Spears, and he did some sort of blanket apology on Instagram. I will say though, I think Justin Timberlake is incredibly talented. He's a great singer. Him and Timbaland together, come on, nobody makes better music.
Right.
I also think he's a great actor. He's such a talented comedian as well. He's also a notorious cheater. I mean, I think a lot of people forget about the fact that Jessica Biel, right, is who he's married to. There's videos of him cheating on her with coworkers in the past, full on kissing, and they were able to bury that. He's just got a history of being not a nice guy. And I know it's really hard because we don't know these celebrities, so you don't want to idolize or demonize them. But I just think if you're someone who's been the top dog in Hollywood for 20 plus years and everyone says that you're the best, how could it not go to your head and kind of screw with you and maybe make you a little bit narcissistic and not as considerate?
And not
as
only that, people have been protecting him and his image and his reputation, that they're insulating those acts, right? And so with the way, I mean, he actually, if you kind of start stitching it together, all of his interaction with women is subpar, to say the least. A little, I don't know, misogynistic. I mean, the Janet Jackson thing, horrible. They blamed that whole thing on her, but it was totally scripted. Everybody knew. And and rather than stand beside her, even though he was the one that actually did the physical act of ripping that garment off. And then the way he acts with Britney and the way he cheats on and you're just so you're just a bad person. That's cool that you're talented. There's no denying that. And it's always sometimes they get a pass when we're so beloved, yes. But yeah, you're still kind of a slimy guy.
When you're multi-talented and you're so good at what you do, there's a pass to being canceled. It's nothing can stop you.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Sometimes, more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, the only people we've really seen canceled are people who go to jail, right? Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, even Louis C.K. is back on tour doing the same stuff. So there's nobody really who's not been able to survive a reckoning with the public, which I find very interesting.
If you were on Justin Timberlake's PR team, what would you tell him to do?
Oh God, that's a really good question. I think if you're putting out good content and you're making stuff that people enjoy, it's easier for people to forgive you or move on or forget about something. If I were him, I would put out an apology and I would make it really deep and heartfelt, which I don't even know if that's a possibility because he probably doesn't know that, it would take a lot of work. But if I was just his PR person, I would put out a very well-written apology and then I would immediately get back in the studio with Timbaland and put out Future Sex Love Sounds Volume 2 and just release the best club bangers ever. So then that way people went, well, but the music's so good. Because they do that with everyone. There's so many awful people where they go, oh, but the music's so great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Hey, can we switch? Can we talk about Jada and Will?
Yeah. Oh my God. Talk about another memoir that's shaking the nation this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it just came out today. Jada's dropping bombs left and right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think her memoir is called Worthy, I believe. And I think the biggest revelation that was in this is that her and Will Smith, I have watched so many different interviews and it's going back and forth and there's so much. Jada is, I like her because she's so authentic and open and honest and a little bit messy. And that's how I like my celebrities. Like, come on, put it all out there. But she uses such like evolved language and almost a little bit of therapy speak that I never really know what she's truly saying. But I was watching all these interviews and she basically dropped the news that her and Will aren't together. It's like they were divorced, but it was never put on paper. So they've been separated for, I think, the last like 7 or 8 years. So when they attended events together, they were just pretending. And then I feel like that's also confusing because, you know, her whole idea with Red Table Talk is she's so open and honest and authentic and straightforward, the entanglement with August, everything that's going on. But this was something that they kept to themselves and now they're still together. The whole thing's confusing. And I think everybody is just experiencing the same like emotions when you hear about it, which is like, what are you guys on about? Like, you keep talking, but like, I don't know what you're saying.
I know. It's like I have whiplash. Like, are you together? Are you not together? And if you are together and you're open, like that's fine. I think that's just like the whole thing. They have an open marriage and they have like a blue room or like a pink room in their house that whenever they bring someone over to hook up with, they like never go into their own bedroom. They have a separate hookup room. I'm like, okay.
I get this.
Respectful. I think they're probably just intertwined financially so that
I
it would
get
make it
this.
difficult to separate.
That's what a lot of people are saying. But then I also wonder too, like, why put it out there that it even happened? You know, if you could continue going. I found it very interesting too. I mean, everybody remembers like the slap at the Oscars, but when Will said, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth," I think Jada has a quote where she was like, and I was so confused because like I'm not his wife. And I'm like, so then why did he say that? Like we all have questions, you know? And I think it's interesting because every time somebody asks her a question, she'll just be like, well, we are in our healing era and like nothing will shake us. And like we are apart, but more together than ever. And I'm like, wait, like, come on. Like I need this to be transcribed so we can like go through it and I can like stop after one sentence and try to take it in. But it's interesting. Like we saw this with Jonah Hill, kind of this idea of therapy talk. I think some of these celebrities must just see these like healers and I don't know, people out there in LA that just give them the right language to have a completely different conversation than the rest of us are ever used to hearing or having.
You know what they sound like? They sound like someone who's newly in therapy. Like maybe they've had 4 sessions and they've latched on to like 2 or 3 phrases and they maybe like 7 sessions, right? Because they're saying it and they're trying to use it in sentences and like express concepts. And you're like, you haven't quite evolved, but good job on like Pop 101 psychology. You're doing it. If I could about Jada, I gotta say, every time she's she's talking or on the media, it's always so negative. Yeah. She doesn't ever say anything very positive. And it's always just like, it's always something like, and she's always throwing Will under the bus. Like, whatever your relationship is, you could still be speaking of him positively. It's just like, bitch, who are you that you are so great that like that he's another beloved actor? Like, why do you treat him like such shit? It just makes me so mad. Everybody, Will Smith is a darling, right? I mean, like he should be. He never did anything wrong. And that like the fact that, okay, it was a very aggressive slap, but in theory, he was trying to honor his wife. Whatever your situation is under your roof, it really isn't our business. Okay, fine. But like, why is she such a bitch? And like,
that's such a good point about the negativity. But I think maybe the last bomb to drop, does Will Smith like have a humiliation fetish at this point? Because like it's like he must be enjoying it because you're so right. Like I've heard so many things about like him and Prince Harry too. I think like this idea of a memoir, like completely exposing all of the nooks and crannies. I'm like, you know what? I love it because I love the mess, but I could never be brave enough to do that. But maybe some of these people are kind of like enjoy it. I don't know.
It still links them together. And it's so not fair that we're like putting a narrative on it because he hasn't I feel like, I don't know. I don't feel like his side has been fully represented. I know Jada's love of her life was Tupac. Like, just be a little less cruel. I don't know. It doesn't make you look better in the public eye that you're just trashing the heck out of this guy. And I feel like for what reason? Like, I'm very frustrated.
I think the holding on to of personal secrets and then releasing at a later date, it's really hard to play the long game, especially as a celebrity, but it does make people respect you a lot. Even Britney, releasing this vulnerable truth about her abortion. But, you know, it's what, like 20 years after the fact or something. So it's like, oh, wow, she's like carried this and kept it to herself. And now I look back at her life and I could see how it makes sense in that music video. And look at this, all the pieces are connecting. I wonder if Jada had instead released this memoir 10 years, you know, later and then said, and by the way, you know, we had secretly been separated, maybe it would have come across as better. I just always try to think, if I was a celebrity, how would I position this instead? Because you're right. Like every time I do hear her say something, it is negative energy around it. You know, it's not like, and I love this fruit and this is a great combo and it just lights me up when blah, blah, blah happens. It's going to be interesting. I bet if somebody like analyzed everything she said and put it into those two categories, the majority would be negative.
Yeah, and I wonder how they present themselves now when they go to award shows or any public appearance. Like, are you still going to pretend that you're married and show up together and get all your photos together? Or is it now just like, we're just here as friends? I don't know. I just feel like she could have just kept that to herself and just been like, yeah, we have an open marriage.
It is
Do we
funny
care?
too. Like, yeah.
Do we care
It's
though?
it's just like a weird dynamic to see, because like now I'm going to think that you guys kind of actually hate each other and you're just together because you have to be together.
That's the thing. You do run into that. And I feel like any celebrity who's too open, I even see this with like Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell. I feel like every time they're talking about their relationship, they're usually talking about how they, you know, blacked out and had a fight during COVID and how like they screamed at each other and the first time they broke up. And it leads people to thinking, oh my God, you guys just hate each other, which, let's be honest, if we were all open about our relationships, like there's ups and downs for everyone. But yeah, you know what I would say if I were them? Throw a curveball and show up on the red carpet with a third and say, we're now a thruple and we all hate fuck each other, if I can say that, every
would be
night. And that's
amazing.
just like what we do, you know? Yes.
I wouldn't doubt it. That'd be a cooler like memoir. You know what I mean? That'd be a cooler thing to drop.
Yeah.
Just put a positive little bow on it at some point.
Right.
Gwyneth Paltrow kind of beat them to the point. Remember when she consciously uncoupled with Chris Martin and everybody was like, get your head out of the clouds, just say that it's a divorce. And she's like, no, we're different. It was like a conscious uncoupling. Like these celebrities are so
but she
wackadoo.
started a trend. Do you know that people are doing that now? Like there's a lot. And I know a lot of people who got like pedestrians, like folks that I know in my regular little life here that use that term.
Okay, so maybe she was a trendsetter, you know, a little wacky trendsetter.
I think whatever she does is a little bit of trendsetting. It took a minute, but I think it was such a pleasant way of reframing a negative, especially to your children. You're like, instead of being like divorce, because that's such a hard word.
It is. Conscious uncoupling is just so friendly.
It is a friendly way of saying like, let's unravel this.
Yeah.
Shannon, do you have any fresh blind items for us?
Oh, yeah.
There was some I was reading. Oh my God, there was one that was alleging that Jada Pinkett Smith is she wants to do some sort of reality show about like her journey of healing, like a one series type of situation. So we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition or not. But I was like, interesting. I could see something like that. You know, it sounds feasible.
She should have Meghan Markle on.
Yeah, the two of them.
The two of them kind of have the same energy. Ish, like the same highway of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it. I feel like both their husbands have like embarrassing facts out there about like their penis and stuff like that. So I feel like, you know, maybe the two can bond. Maybe they could be a foursome and all show up to the red carpet together.
Oh, I'd love that.
There we go.
These poor men.
Jada would eat Harry alive.
Oh,
yes.
But Harry would like it because he likes it. They both like it. And it's a little cringe for me.
Oh, like too much.
These poor guys.
And then one last thing, you know, it's not a day that ends in Y if Taylor Swift isn't mentioned in a conversation. I just heard today that Travis Kelce is buying a new house in Kansas City because the one that he's in right now doesn't have enough privacy and people are taking photos of them in their backyard. So now he's buying a new house and Taylor was with him when he was checking out the new house.
I saw that headline too, like Travis Kelce buys $6 million mansion for more privacy. I was like, must be nice. And that's just my thing with like anytime somebody's like, you're being too mean to these celebrities. I'm like, oh, the same celebrity that can just buy a $6 million house because they feel like it because they have a new girlfriend, like they're going to be okay. Like they will be fine. These people live like in a completely different world than we do. But yeah, do you think that they're going to go the distance or do you think this will be another like 4-month situation?
Yeah,
You
definitely
guys
a
are shaking your
4-month
head.
situation. I mean, she's just like, fuck it. Why not? Let's do something new.
Well, she's
Yeah.
bored now that
Yeah.
the tour's come to an end. She
Yeah.
will, they're a winning team, so she
Mhm.
can't, I mean, there's only so many teams that she could hook up with. And I'm going to say this lasts until the end of football season. Maybe just a little, like up until next year, right? This isn't going to be a forever thing. It's just that her needs are getting met as well, right? That she's getting so much attention from this relationship because finally someone's matching her level of importance, at least from a male perspective. Other guys in the past maybe wouldn't have impacted the male population as much as Travis Kelce. And I say, hot take, he probably bought a new house because he was embarrassed of his townhome and having her over there and be like, oh, yeah. I mean, I've been looking at a new house, definitely, because he's been going to her house and he's like, this dwarfs mine and this makes me look like a peasant.
100%. And he makes like
Don't you
some
think?
serious money. I think his net worth is like, or at least like his contract that he recently signed, I think was like 400 million or something. So like a $6 million house is probably pennies to him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
But-
you are always showing off when you bring your girlfriend or boyfriend with you to go house hunting. Like we saw that in like, what's it? I Love You Man, right? Like you're just like peacocking, like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to get this. What do you think, babe? It's just a shag like opportunity.
Well, also a $6 million house in Kansas City is like a huge ass.
Oh
mansion.
yeah. You get a lot of bang for your buck over there.
Yeah, he does.
It probably has like an indoor basketball court, steam room,
Oh,
sauna, like
yeah.
the works, which is incredible. But I mean, Taylor Swift has like 8 houses. So that's the thing. How do you impress the girl that has 8 houses and 2 private planes?
Well, you attempt
like,
to by getting a $6 million house.
You try. I would just like lean into it. I'd be like, I live in a 1-bedroom, like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
There's no way I can compete with you, you know?
Right.
and this is also the first time she's had like a super hot boyfriend. So
Yeah,
she's like, time to show it off.
I at
Yeah.
first didn't think he was that good looking because I tried so hard with Google Images, Travis Kelce, and then I had to type in Travis Kelce without helmet, Travis Kelce in clothes, actual human clothes. Anytime you try to see if a football player is cute, they show me all the pictures of him in his helmet. I'm like, that's not why I'm on Google Images. Like, I want to see the bone structure. I want to see how the eyes twinkle. He's good looking. Although if you've ever Googled pictures of him without his facial hair, don't. Like, he needs
That's why
a
he's
little
got
bit
it.
of facial hair on. Yeah, he knows what works.
Yeah, he does.
Like 1/8 needs to be covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How long do you think? Yeah, how long do you think they're gonna date for?
Oh yeah. What's your prediction?
I mean, I think that they are well matched, but I also just think, I don't know, it's got to be impossible to date Taylor Swift. Like, it's hard enough being a podcaster who talks about her and the vitriol that I will receive if I say or like do one thing out of line with the Swifties. And allegedly, Maddie Healy, who she dated before Travis Kelce, there was a TikToker who was saying that they took a few videos of him. It looked like he was at an art gallery, and they said they overheard him talking to someone about how he hated dating Taylor Swift because of the insane Swifties and blah, blah, blah. And I could just see how like that would drive any man away. Like, nobody would want to get involved in that. Like, Travis Kelce, even if they break up tomorrow, for the rest of his life, he will be associated with Taylor Swift, asked about her, all of these things. And I wish I could say, you know, everybody who's a fan of Taylor Swift is now putting all of these personality traits on Travis because they like them together. So they're like, oh my God, like he loves to see her shine and Joe Alwyn didn't. And like he's uplifting her and doing all of this stuff. Like, guys, we don't know anything about these people, whatever. But no man, I think, sadly, is going to be okay with being with a woman that's on top of the world and they're coming in second place. I know everybody's making the Barbie and Ken jokes, but I think that any guy, especially a macho football player, it would kind of get to him and I think, you know, cause a little bit of disruption in their relationship.
Especially because her career has so much longevity. He's like 35 maybe by now. He doesn't have that much more football left in him.
You know who he's going to be like? He's going to be like Jessica Simpson and whoever her husband was. Like it will always be Taylor Swift and then whoever her plus one is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I do think he was really good on SNL. It seems like he's trying, you know, he's doing a lot of commercials. Maybe he's trying to pivot into something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
You
Joe
know who-
Alwyn did it for 6 years, but they were like living in the woods, camping alone from society. So like it doesn't really count.
They never saw daylight.
Yeah.
You know who would be a good match for her in terms of like solid footing as a dude? I think Peyton Manning has longevity that he could be his own standalone in terms of importance, right? That he's just got a solid reputation. I think because he, again, brings the whole NFL audience that he would he's kind of a football god, right? And she is everything. Lindsay and I were talking about it. I mean, we're trying to think about past pop stars that are as big as Taylor Swift is currently. And the only thing we could come up with was Michael Jackson, right? Of that kind of significance and how far reaching. So it's like, while no one will ever match her, but I do think she's okay, and more than okay. She seems eager to slip into a feminine role in which she like yields to the male energy, and she's trying to let them be. It doesn't seem like she is the masculine energy in a relationship.
See, I feel like she is. Like when she was in her curly haired singing about Romeo and Juliet and princes, I was like, yes, like she wants like that fairy tale romance. But lately, listening to old like interviews that she's been in recently, she actually never really talks about wanting to have kids. She talks a lot about like putting her guards up. I feel like when she was kind of like baby Taylor Swift, that's what she wanted. But nowadays, I kind of, for some reason in my head, see her not getting married, not having kids, and hopefully dating a woman. I mean, that's really what I'm, manifesting for Taylor
Yes.
Swift. That's the only
I was
person
literally
that
just going to ask you about that. Do you think those
Blind items.
do you think they were really dating? Like there's rumors.
Carly Kloss.
Yeah.
I mean, I have heard good, things from people in the past couple of years. I would happily bet my life in a gambling game that Taylor Swift has had relationships with women before.
I love
but
it.
I mean,
Don't you love
none
it?
that
It
the
feels
public
so
has really.
right.
And her and
Wait,
Carly
say that again.
Kloss- well, I mean, I just think that they haven't really been out in the public, but also they haven't they? Right? Like if Taylor went to a basketball game with Travis Kelce and they sat front row and were, hugging each other and walked out holding hands, people would say that's a relationship. But she does the same thing with Carly Kloss and they go, they're just the best of friends. If her and Travis Kelce went on a road trip sharing beds in Big Sur, California, and she played him the first listen of their album and they were kissing each other's cheeks and drawing each other's name in the sand, you would say that's a relationship. But she does it with Carly Kloss and people go, they're such good friends.
It's adorable. I love it.
It's so cute. Yeah.
So cute.
Do you think she's dated anyone else?
I think she's dated Diana Agron back in the day. She was the blonde girl on Glee. And I think kind of around the Red era when she was with Connor Kennedy, I think that like when she was with like Connor Kennedy, Harry Styles, that time period, if you look in the background of photos, there's Diana Agron there a lot too. And a lot of the lyrics from the songs, line up to someone like her. So I think that could happen, but I've just heard great things over the years and it makes sense too. I mean, everyone in Hollywood is just a grown up theater kid who's sexually fluid.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's 100% right. I identify as a theater kid. Yeah. I feel like she's so in the stratosphere that she literally can do anything with anything. Like the confines of being a regular person don't apply to her. Like she is just, let's hang out some more. I enjoy your company. Now, give me a smooch.
We'll see what happens. But it is hard, like other than Travis Kelce, trying to pick a man for Taylor Swift. Because like you need someone who's also at the top of the stratosphere. And like, I don't know, Joe Biden. Like I can't think of anyone. Like there's really nobody that I could suggest for her.
Well, if I'm thinking of ladies, this one is just coming to mind because I've been binge watching The Real Housewives of New York. Jenna Lyons.
I don't know much about her, but I like that it's a woman.
She's not big enough. Housewives is
no, because she doesn't need to be big enough. She needs like a lady who is like content and has had a career and like already dominated in her field. And now she just wants to be like quiet and let Taylor have all the spotlight.
Ah, yes, a submissive woman, but for Taylor. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe her and Kim Kardashian bury the hatchet by kissing each other on the lips and just seeing what happens.
Oh.
Oh my God, that would be such a funny couple. Because like Taylor
Or
Swift
Kendall.
is so tall.
Wouldn't you love to see her with Kendall?
Yeah, Kendall.
That would be perfect. Those are two.
Yeah.
Their energy is matched like perfectly, and they seem lovely like together.
Yeah, someone like that.
That's
and,
my
they
vote.
wouldn't compete because I don't think Kendall sings. They could just ride horses together and get back to that cottage
I
core living.
I'm just picturing Taylor Swift picking up Kim Kardashian because she's like a foot shorter than her and like carrying her around.
The pictures that they took together back when she was like trying to be friends with Kanye West and everything, it was just so like I still remember the pictures in my head, and like they did not look good together. Like they just looked uncomfortable and like they didn't belong there, and the heights are different, and like they even like their vibes, their outfits are totally different. It just wasn't working.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I could talk all day about all the things, but we do have to wrap it up. So, Shannon, where can people follow you?
Yeah, if you want to hear more celebrity gossip or blind items, then my podcast name is Fluently Forward, and we do episodes every Monday and then Friday over on Patreon.
Ooh, fun. Okay, well, make sure you guys go over and check out her stuff and subscribe. And then also remember to subscribe and follow at So Fired Pod, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Disclaimer. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The stories and statements expressed herein are experiences and opinions. They may not represent the views of the production studio or the hosts. If you disagree with our content, that's okay. No podcast is perfect for everyone.